life. And so here he says to Pilate, I have come into this world to testify of the truth. Now, if you, like I, have had the great, wonderful benefit of growing up in a Christian family, these words are sort of second nature to us. And sometimes that can be dangerous because we don't hear them in the striking context that they were originally offered. As Pilate's response is going to point out, the idea of saying that you have certain knowledge of the truth has always been considered by the people of the world as arrogance. And oh, are we experiencing that right now? Who do you think you are speaking for God? Yesterday, starting last evening, I started noticing my Facebook feed was getting filled with 4-letter words again. And in reading one of them before I hit the delete button, I realized I think they replayed the Dr. Drew episode again. And I checked, and they had. And so one of the common responses I got for just daring to talk about God's purpose and male and female and so on and so forth on HLN was these people, you bleepity bleepity bleep, who do you think you are speaking for God? Well, Pilate doesn't use the bleepity bleepity bleep, and he doesn't limit himself to 140 characters, but he's pretty much got the same worldview going on here. What is truth? What do you mean you've come to testify of the truth? And so you and I have to realize that if we believe what we profess about Jesus, then we have to believe that the truth is knowable and has been revealed by God. And what a tremendous blessing that is. So much of the world's religions, and certainly almost all of the world's philosophy, leaves people uncertain, wandering about in the dark, with nothing more than people's opinions to go by, and those opinions will change with the whims of time. That's what I tried to point out in the very first words that I uttered in the program was, they finally came to me and I said, I have not yet heard any meaningful discussion of the worldview issues that must be discussed for us to say anything meaningful at all about what Bruce Jenner, yeah, that's his name, has actually done. No one had said anything yet. It was just all, well, I feel this and I feel that, and I'm just happy about this and I'm happy about that. What an amazingly dark place if there is no knowledge of truth. And Jesus says he's come into this world to testify to the truth. That means we as Christians should be people of truth. We should have the highest view of truth. I have often commented, I don't know how it happened, but when I first started doing apologetics, I didn't have anyone to guide me. The first group that I studied was Mormonism, and I didn't have anyone to guide me as to how to do this or anything else, but somewhere along the line, I became absolutely convinced that I had to use the same standards of accuracy and of argumentation in representing what my opponent's position is as I would use in the defense of my own. I can't use uneven balances. I can't use one set of arguments to defend the Christian faith and then over here use a different set of arguments to attack Mormonism or Islam or anything else. Now, like I said, I don't know where that came from, but I'm awful glad I became convinced of it. Because we as Christians, if we want to represent him who is the truth, there are certain arguments that are very common in our culture today. We can't use them. They may be emotionally effective, but we cannot be pragmatists when it comes to the issue of truth. Because if we claim to serve him who is the truth, then we had better be truthful, absolutely truthful, even in the midst of the age him. And so Jesus says, I've come to testify of the truth. And then, man, you have got to hear this phrase. You have got, tattoo it on your brain. Everyone, pas. And then it's ektes alethaios, from the truth. Everyone who is of the truth is hearing my voice. Now, again, I think Pilate had tuned Jesus out a little bit as soon as he started talking about truth. Because Pilate seems to me to be the consummate politician. And in politics, truth is not the most useful thing around. In fact, it's frequently a very unuseful thing. And so his knee-jerk reaction, what is truth, doesn't seem to recognize that he heard and understood or even pondered what Jesus had just said. I often, when I teach on the deity of Christ, I often point out to Christians that we allow those who deny the deity of Christ to get away with a lot. We allow them to determine the ground of the battle. We never, almost never, challenge them to give as clear a defense of their positive presentation of who Jesus is as we are asked to give of our view of who Jesus is. There's a lot of things, but we also very frequently overlook, because of familiarity, numerous texts in Scripture that testify of the glorious nature of Jesus Christ. And here's one of them. Listen to what Jesus says again. Everyone who is of the truth, what if it said, here's the words of God? Would that be a true statement? Well, yeah, of course it would be. In fact, when Jesus was arguing with the Jews in John chapter 8, he says, those who belong to God hear the words of God. If the reason you don't hear is because you don't belong to God. So that would be a true statement. That would be a fair statement. But what Jesus says is, here's my statement. They're hearing my voice. Here's my voice. What in the world is being claimed by this one who says, everyone who is of the truth hears my voice, my words, my speech, my communication. They hear me. No mere prophet would ever make that kind of a statement. The prophets of old would say, hear the word of the Lord, but they were very clear that it wasn't coming forth from them. They themselves had received it. Jesus, who is identifying himself as King, who says he has been born to testify the truth, he's come into the world, it sounds like from outside the world, to testify of the truth, now makes this amazing statement. If you hear his voice,